Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Shabbat shalom.
We're going to start off with the prayer. Our Father who established Yeshua in the heavens, exalted is your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done in earth as is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our transgressions, as we forgive those who transgress against us. And lead us not into evil inclination, but deliver us from the outer darkness. For yours is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Well, y'all, we come to you right now in the name of your son, Yahushua HaMashiach. Thank you right now because you're worthy. Magnify your name right now because you're awesome. I thank right now for giving us a mind right now to stay ready at all times. I thank for giving us a mind to stay prepared for things to even come. I thank for giving us a mind to prep, giving us a mind to be prepared in our inner man, to be prepared also mentally as a whole. I thank for giving us endurance, Father. I thank you right now in the name of Son Yahushua HaMashiach for helping us right now to resist any evil urges, any evil situation that we may find ourselves in. We thank you right now for allowing us to walk a straight path. We thank right now for giving us the energy and strength to be able to be right in everything that we do. We thank for giving us the energy and strength to resist any type of weights or anything that may be trying to attach itself to us or anything we may be involved in. That's not saying that, but that is a heavy weight or any type of crutches or anything that may be holding us back. We come against those things. We thank as we come against all forms of sin. Father, we come against all forms of sorcery, all forms of witchcraft, all forms of bondage, be it natural or spiritual. We come against it now. We come against all forms of sickness, all forms of disease as a whole. We come against all rocks that cause any form of illness as a whole. We come against any form of illness concerning high blood pressure, concerning thyroid glands, concerning cholesterol, concerning diabetes, you know what I'm saying, concerning anything that may cause us to even be overweight as a whole. We come against anything mentally, any type of brain damage. We come against that right now. We come against schizophrenia as a whole. We come against everything that may cause any type of accidents, any ruachs out there that may be trying to cause confusion on the highway. We come against those right now. We begin to have a nice trip, a safe trip back home. We thank right now for waking us up this morning, closing our right mind. Father, we thank right now to realize that it's not you. Well, that's the blame for things that occurred in this world is the fact that evil has begun to increase over time. And we thank you right now for just allowing us to get ourselves back in position to draw nigh to you, that you may draw nigh to us. I thank you right now for giving us a mind once again to stay prepared. Give us a mind to escape the snares of the enemy. Give us a mind not to be at the actual, I would say, at the mercy of this world when the time comes, when things begin to get deep, when things begin to get to a point when there are other things that arise, other pandemics. Give us a mind to be able to stand on our own and stand alone. Give us a mind to be able to be prepared through the wisdom and knowledge that you have given us. We just magnify your name because you're worthy right now. I just want to take the time out to let you know I appreciate you right now. I want to take the time out to let you know that I thank you right now. I thank you right now for just mere life itself. I thank right now it's in you that I live and that I move and that I have my being. I just thank you right now. Overall, I come against all form of hindrances. I clear the atmosphere from any evil rocks that may be trying to be in the atmosphere. I come against them right now. Any evil rocks that may be trying to whisper in our mind, I come against them right now. I come against everything, Father, that's not like you. And I thank you right now for giving us the power to resist evil. We thank you right now. We're not those that call evil good and good evil. We think as we call it for what it is. We recognize when we're being tricked. We recognize when something is not right. We thank you right now for the gift of discernment right now. We thank right now for allowing us to have the ability to be able to maneuver in this system of things, to begin to move in a way in which we're not bound. We just come against all forms of bondage once again. I can't stress it any further, anymore to say that we don't need to be bound by anything concerning this system. We think right now we come from out of any snares of the system, any crutches of the system that may have us bound, that may have us in the end dependent on this system to feed us, depending on this system to house us and to be able to have, our health, our best interest in, their hand, and they don't have it. And I thank you right now because you're worthy and because you're awesome. I magnify your name right now because you're marvelous. Even the more, I can't say it even enough, how that I appreciate you even the more. In the name of your son, Yahushua HaMashiach, we pray. So be it.
So be it. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. So today, excuse me, we'll be talking about survival. And basically in the beginning of this, I just wrote down a few notes about just certain things if you're at home, just basic stuff like basic fire drills, plans, just things that you may want to make sure you have lined up. If you know that there's a fire, you know, where is there a fire extinguisher? Where is it? You know, like say, where's the exit plan? Like where will you leave out? If it's a fire, just certain things to think about in general, like for us home wise, but also which would go with self-defense. Like what would you do if somebody broke in and you prepared to deal with an intruder? You prepared to deal with an intruder on land or at home. You know, so it's like it's best to set it up even more where you don't have to deal with it. You know, if you can kind of do some of the precaution that can get you set up first, like whether it may be cameras or whatever you can do to I would say just to protect your territory. Some people may be able to put up small fences or whatever they can do just to make sure they're able to deal with it. Self-defense. Going to include being in shape, being able to tussle if you have to tussle. If you don't have to tussle, being able to at least pull the trigger and know where to aim it at. You know, it's like you don't need to have to know how to defend yourself to some degree. And I'll probably get some of these items that I think about from time to time, like little small things of mace. It's good to have small things of mace, especially men and women, but mainly women that can't protect themselves. You know that, you know, 'cause we know particularly not in all cases, most men are strong, but at the same time, they can't fight out multiple men, so they would need to always be scrapped no matter what. But if you think you're not going to want to use the highest force, you can have something else that you need if you don't think it's a deadly threat. Something like mace, you know, you can have you know, mace or stun gun or something, whatever you can have. But in most cases, where we're at now, when things go down, they normally go down to the point where it's beyond those things like stun guns and mace. But it's good to have these things available, you know, just protect yourself in general. And especially you're talking about from an animal, sometimes, you know, the mace or stun gun, get them away real quick, you know. But that's just something in general just to think about, you know, food plans for droughts. Make sure you have water, you know, and non-perishable items. Most of the time, you don't want to buy nothing that's already, like if it's a canned good that's already old, but you can buy certain stuff that maybe get to that point, because most of the time it probably just loses its flavor, whatever. But I wouldn't recommend buying something for certain diseases or certain thing that can happen to those canned goods after they get to a certain date they talk about. But most of the time, those canned goods have those chemicals and stuff. I think they put on them to actually keep them, I believe. But for the most part, those are good to have, you know, canned goods. So just be wise if you do have a lot of them. I would assume you probably rotate them out. But for the most part, you know, just a non-perishable thing that you can have. You can have any type of immediate type bug out bag that you can have, like certain stuff that you can have already prepared, certain water filter straws and stuff like that. Just the basic items that you can have to be able to help you to sustain to get to the next, you know, few days or whatever like that. But at home, you probably want to make sure that you got at least, I guess, 6 months supply or more. You know, I would recommend, you know, but you know, for the most part, just want to make sure you're ready at all times and make sure you're ready to survive at all times. You want to make sure you don't find yourself having to be one of those people that's complaining about the system not giving them what they need in some type of line or something like that, because you're trying to go, we used to call them back in the day, like free cheese lines or whatever. But, you know, just you want to make sure you're not at the mercy of them having to give you supplies and stuff. You want to make sure you have your own supplies, because it's really up to you to make sure that you're okay. Because at the end of the day, when you think about this, the saying is true. You know, we do believe Mashiach, you know what I'm saying? We do believe he has saved us and everything. He's given us a level of knowledge that we have to enforce. I mean, so with that level of knowledge, you know, with having that level of knowledge, no one is coming to save you. You know what I'm saying? If you have that level of knowledge, he's giving you the knowledge to do it. When the time comes physically, I mean, we're not talking spiritually, no one is going to just pop up, give you anything when you was just not, I would say, obedient or wise enough to save anything, when you just straightly, foolishly spent your money on materialistic items and didn't think about any time later that can come when it comes to any type of, you know, pandemic or whatever it may be, a drought, I would say. Because when a drought comes, you know, you don't have anything. It doesn't matter how rich you are. You know, we'll get into a little bit about Joseph. Like I said, no matter how rich all those other places were, they had to come to him to get the actual supplies, because it was only supplies in Egypt, because they had enough sense to know that when the Most High gave him that interpretation of Pharaoh's dream, he knew to save up for those years. When everything seemed good, he was saving it up. And it's just like now, when it seemed like in my head, I keep noticing how sweet everything may seem, you know what I'm saying? It's like now that the pandemic has blew over, it just keep tugging me. I gotta go on, you know, lock it down to not just overlook the fact that things just, you know, this isn't just to be doom and gloom, but things won't always seem this way. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes when you look at certain things, you know what I'm saying, when things have came, you see, you get a breather or whatever, you see that everything kind of died down. So you kind of get relaxed and your mind get off of being, I would say, prepared, because you think, okay, well, this is over, now we can breathe. But you know, as long as you're in this world, you'll have tribulations. It's always going to be something. This system is not designed for you to get a break. It's designed for you to really survive. When you think about it, it's not set up for you to really to really make it, because you don't control the world. Like the power that be that control the world are already set up, and they already got things designed to be able to help them, because they're kind of in the knowing of when the next thing is going to be happening. Hence that it's being created, most of this stuff. I mean, like that, because when you look at it, you know, there's never a joyful moment when it gets to those particular times. And it's like you'll look at it and you'll look back a couple of weeks later in your head, you'll think a couple of weeks back that, hey, I remember when we had this, when we had that. Now you don't even have a gallon of water because it's not in the stores. It's like the stores are just hubs. They don't have anything. Like, all I can say is I know that after this, you know, like I say, you know, I've had received a few warnings. So after this warning, no matter what goes on, I have to like get some water like today. I can't put it off. I mean, at least that, because you can survive off water, you know, for so long. But the thing is, you have food and no water, no type of something with water in it, then it puts you in a position where you can't make it, but you at least need that. And I'm not sure if the limit is a gallon a day a person, what, you know, it may be something like that. But I will say, whatever it is, you know, you kind of want to sum it up to something similar to that and try to see, multiply that time, how many people you got in your family, and try to get you some where you can have it saved up, stuff like tissue and, you know, anything that you can utilize. I mean, you can get by with some things that you don't have to eat with. There's other ways that you can find to use the bathroom and make provision. But, you know, for the most part, you know, it's just heavy to just, I guess, put it out there to say, be prepared to get ready and learn to survive, get back on the survival tip. You know, don't never get off of it. It's like, because we never know when what, it's like, it's better to be prepared, you know, for whatever it is that may come than for something to come and you not be prepared for it. Because if it comes and you're not prepared for it, then you're at the mercy of the actual system. And I say that just to not utilize so many other words as much, but I will say that, you know, it's not going to be good being at the mercy of them, because they have to ration things out. They're not really looking at who's going to make it so far. In their mind, it's like you're just a number at that time. It's almost like you're in prison. It's like, okay, where are you? Okay, we'll give you this much and you gone. Like, you can't just keep coming back and forth. At some point, it runs out. So it's like, so what do you do when you go that one time and they give you that? This is what's happening to people that's at the mercy of the system. They go that one time, they get the water or whatever they give them for their family. And if the pandemic goes on for 2 or 3 more months, then what happens then? They don't have any more, because they didn't prepare for it, because the world is not telling you to prepare for anything like this. It's telling you everything is sweet, because you caught up into the propaganda, into the you know, the music and everything that's going on. Like, so I don't know what's going to happen, but I will say this. I know I got to be prepared for it all the time. It doesn't matter if it happens 10 years later, 3 years, or 3 days, or whatever. I just need to make sure, you know, that I'm prepared, you know, at all times for whatever it is that may happen, at least making sure that there's water and some other items that you can have to survive, because you can survive off of things like peanut butter and stuff. I mean, just giving you just examples of what it is, like small things. It don't take a lot to really survive off of, like bags of rice and stuff like that, just stuff in general that you can have, that you could make it off of. But if you, like I say, go back into what we call the matrix, is what's going on in the world, the fantasy world. Like, people are not trying to be prepared. Like, Noah did not wait till it started flooding, you know, to actually get everything set up. You know, I kind of put that in my notes. It's like he knew to be prepared. Like, he had to take heed to what the Most High was saying. He told Noah. He didn't tell everybody that's around him. I'm sure he looked stupid building this ark, or whatever he was building, but he had to do what he had to do. People, especially people that are, I would say, poisoned in the mind by the system, they're going to always look at things that they can't calculate or add up into whatever the way they think is being stupid. But when the time comes, those people will be starving. They'll be hungry, and they won't. Some of them will even have to voluntarily be hauled off because of the fact that they have no way to survive. So they'll freely go to some of these places, some of these camps, and some of these concentration camps and stuff, because it won't be nothing for them to do where they're at. They won't have anything. So why won't they go? It's like, you know, it's like they won't even have to be tricked or anything like that, because they'll have no way to actually survive it on their own. This is where, the homesteading and the type of by default, I was looking at a homesteading video last night, not even thinking about why I was looking at it. I just started looking at it. It was just up there. And the family was homesteading. And it's like, the thing is, I do think that the more I think about things, the more I keep snapping back into reality, that no matter what moves are being made, always make sure that wherever you're located at, that there are ways that you can actually survive. There are ways that you can actually produce or eat from what's being produced from the land to some degree. Like, it needs to be some kind of way where you're being able to be fed something, something that can lead to some form of canning or some form of preserved type situation where you can have it for later. And it needs to be beyond what needs to be cold, because what happens when that happens, if you're dealing with what needs to be cold, then here it comes with you're gonna need generators, but when gas could run out of fuel or whatever it runs off of, diesel or gas, then you gotta look at having a solar system set up. So it's gotta be some system set up. It's wise to have a mini solar system set up that can run small freezers and stuff like that can keep certain stuff cool that you may have that you producing from your land. Like, all this stuff just happened. I mean, I don't think about it a lot, but I know yesterday I remember thinking about this, and it all hit me last night, just getting back on the bandwagon and making sure you got everything and don't get relaxed because nobody's talking about it. Like, it never be like that. It always comes out of nowhere. Things just happen. Like, when things happen, no one is prepared. No one's prepared when cars break down. You don't have the other car ready. You got to figure a way to work, figure a way to make it. You got to figure a way for transportation to call Uber. No one's prepared when they lose their purse or wallet. Like, it's just, these things just happen. Like, you have to think about, what do you do when you don't have what you think you're supposed to have? Because it's like, it's not promised to have anything. Like, you know what I'm saying? Things that in life, things come and go. In life, things have pauses on them. It's like, you have to know, how do you make it? How do you pivot? You know what I'm saying? Like that. And this is what you got to realize. But anyway, this has been a heavy situation, you know what I mean? But I will say, in the midst of this right here, I just put survival. We talked about the 5 drill plan, self-defense, food, making sure you got food for a drought, water, non-perishable items. I'm gonna go to 1 Timothy 5, verse 8, for those that may have a responsibility. Man, you can read wherever you get it.
1 Timothy chapter 5, verse 8. But if any provide not for his own, and especially for those of his own house, he has denied the belief and is worse than an infidel.
Okay, that's the thing. That's a loaded scripture. It says, any provide not for his own. So it's the thing. So we think about, I go to work and provide. It's way deeper than going to work. Like, going to work is just you going to work. If you ain't doing the right thing with the income, then you going to work, that's you. You ain't doing what the Most High said. If a man don't work, he can't eat. That's just one thing, eating. But if a man don't work and do what he's supposed to do as a whole, then he worse than an infidel. So just because you went to work and you fed people immediately, that was good that you did that for the month. But what about you going to work, or you making money, and you having some form of resource to do certain things, and it's like you ain't doing the thing that you need to do for when things happen. It's like you have to know how to store up. The Most High is not calling us to live this type of lifestyle, this lavish lifestyle that you're living on the fly, this YOLO type, you only live once type scenario. You can't think like that, because unless you're ready to, and I don't even really want to put this out there, but I would just say, unless somebody just think it's going to end, like once something happens, unless they have, just as said, commit suicide or something, like, you still got to survive. So what happens when you got everything you need materialistic, but you have nothing to sustain yourself? You have no fuel, you have no physical fuel, no food, no type of water net set up, and you don't have no survival system set up at all. You're not able to protect yourself to some degree. It's like, you have to think about these things, because when it all boils down, to some degree, you only own what you can protect to some degree, when it all boils down to after you finish even doing this. Like, you have to think logical to some degree. You have the Most High, but at the same time, the knowledge that he's given you, you have to put it into some areas that's going to help you as a whole. That's going to include security. That's going to include you prepping, along with being able to secure what you prep, whether it be through some form of surveillance or whatever, because when it gets to a point where the system is down, you can't call 911, then who's the police? Like, I mean, then who's the authority figure? I mean, it's you. So it's like you really have to think this out. It's like it's way deeper than, see, the world wants us to have fun, to relax, let our hair back and forget about everything. Everything's gonna be fine until the lights get cut off. I'm talking about the system. Everything just shut down. Prove the grid goes down, then what? Like, you know, you can't even go nowhere. If you got an electric car, it's over for you. Can't charge it. So like, so and if you're dealing with gas, it's gonna be over because the pumps are down because they run off gas like that. So, you know, it's like, so at some point, you're in a position where you can't make it, but you got in that position because you went to sleep. And I'm saying that based on, you know, using this word loosely, like you have to be woke to a degree to know that survival is beyond materialistic items. It goes into knowing that you can actually sustain. Like you have to kind of unplug from the system in a sense, but you got to know when to plug back in, but you have to know how to live unplugged. It's kind of like me going plant-based for so long, I can go back plant-based and it don't bother me. I mean, I want this and want that, but I won't be sitting there dreaming about wishing I had some else because the Most High allowed me to do it for that length of time. I did it, and it allowed me to actually train my body. I mean, that's why if I can do certain things, you know, my body's been trained to go without stuff. I mean, I just don't do it. Like a lot of times when my children were smaller, like say I would do a lot of different things, but you know, now that I got a lot older and a lot of responsibilities come in, but the Most High still has my body trained to actually know how to pivot and maneuver and to go without certain things, you know, like food and water or anything for a certain length of time. But anyway, let's go to when we talked about Noah, he didn't wait until the flood came to start building the ark. And let's look at Genesis chapter 6, Genesis chapter 6. And we're going to talk, but we still deal with Noah, but Genesis chapter 6 is really, the Most High really got to a point where he's fed up with the earth and everything that's going on. And the same stuff is happening now. What I'm trying to explain, like the same stuff is happening now. Like the Most High, you know, just, you know, it got to a point and you can just tell because evil has increased. There's no way to explain it, but evil has increased. When you know the word, you know, evil has increased. You know that this is how it was during the days of Noah, and it's even worse because the technology and everything they can do. But for the most part, you have to realize that, you know, the Most High has those that he already have that he know that's actually trying to do the right thing. Like Noah, his goal was to please the Most High, and he was walking upright to the best of his ability. So the Most High saw Noah and he said, look, this is who I'm gonna deal with, those that are righteous. So he's dealing with Noah now, but as a whole, if it was like it was in the days of Noah now, if it is like that, we know that there's more people than Noah now. So it's like the rest of the people, the Most High is going to actually give the opportunity to do the right thing as he begin to speak with them. And I don't just want to go on a rant, but I just want to just drive it in to just say that make sure that you are prepared to some degree. You know what I mean? Make sure that you are prepared to some degree to have at least a few things set up in case something hits the fan, in case the next pandemic happens, in case a drought happens. You want to make sure that you are ready. So Noah was warned by the Most High. We're going to look at Genesis 6 and 13. Yeah, really.
Genesis 6 and 13. And Elohim said unto Noah, the end of all flesh is come before me, for the earth is filled with violence through them. And behold, I will destroy them with the earth. Okay, and I want to read that briefly just to show that is why the Most High wanted to actually destroy the earth, because the earth is filled with violence. It's filled with violence now. The earth is filled with violence now. It's like, you know, we don't even know half of the stuff that comes on the news. They show bits and pieces of it. Now the earth is once again filled with violence. And not only is the earth filled with violence, it's to a point where the heart of many has waxed cold. I mean, they all actually call them good evil and evil good. Everything that went on back then at that time is happening here in the worst manner. It's like, if we don't even know, like it's so much stuff I can go into detail that we don't have time to go into details about that would mimic some of that stuff, and it would show you more stuff. But for the most part, Noah was warned, like the Most High, not just warned, but he was told exactly what's going to happen. He was actually given information that he needed to follow so that he wouldn't go down when his time came. And so let's look at 6, let's look at 20 and 21 in the same chapter, Genesis chapter 6. Okay, so starts off with fowls after their kind. Is that what you want me to start with? Yeah, good. Okay. Of fowls after their kind, and of cattle after their kind, Of every creeping thing of the earth.
My bad, back to
To
19.
19?
Yeah,
Okay.
back 19, my bad.
And of every living thing of all flesh, 2 of every sort shall you bring into the ark to keep them alive with you. They shall be male and female, of fowls after their kind, and of cattle after their kind, of every creeping thing of the earth after his kind. 2 of every sort shall come unto you to keep them alive. And take unto you of all the food that is eaten, and you shall gather it to you, and it shall be for food for you and for them.
And you can do 22.
Thus did Noah according to all that Elohim commanded him, so did he.
And so this is what he did. He just followed the instructions of the Most High. And I was just showing that just to give a breakdown of the detail that he gave Noah. Like he made sure that he preserved what was going on, on the earth, like the life and stuff like that. But it was like, it was just showing you like it had to be deep for everybody else to have to leave here. And another note, when I studied this back in the day, I put down the 8 souls that was saved, Noah and his wife, his sons and their wife. And that was it, and the animals that he said, in the real breakdown, I think it was showing you exactly how he began to tell them to actually bring it in, how many you need to bring in with versus clean versus unclean was broke down in deeper detail. So it's like, you have to look at the Most High when he says do something. It don't always just be on the fly. Some stuff he give you more details and some stuff he don't give you as many details, but we know it was Noah's righteousness that saved him and his family. So let's go to Genesis 7, starting off at that first verse. We're going to read from there.
And Yahuwah said unto Noah, come you and all your house into the ark, for you have I seen righteous before me in this generation. Of every clean beast you shall take you by 7s, the male and his female, and of beasts that are not clean by 2, the male and his female. Of fowls also of the air by 7s, the male and the female, to keep seed alive upon the face of all the earth.
Now, Paul, let me show you something. I'm going to show you how powerful the Most High is and how powerful we were as a whole. Even back then, you remember in the beginning, it was never no division with animal versus humans, around Adam's time. He had to name those animals. So at this time, just imagine building an ark and fowls coming in. They're coming in at the command of the Most High. Like they're coming in because they know what time it is. Like he has the actual, like we deal with the Most High, like it's not the level of understanding that we have. He communicates with them because he is the creator. So you remember the raven going to feed Elijah and stuff like that. He tells them, like it talks about a bird would tell the matter in the book of Psalms. There's so much stuff that talks about these things, but you don't really think about it because it's like ludicrous because we have been dumbed down. Like we've been separated from nature, to a great degree, to the point where we've been now we're in a position where our makeup is to be frightened of certain animals and certain things rather than to realize that they were there through the creation of the Most High. But because we've been placed in Babylon pretty much for the most part, it caused this particular situation where the animals, they don't even have their natural way that they are. Most of them are caged up in certain things and they're not actually dealing with the wild. So we was moved from here and placed back to the wild, we'd be frightened because we're no longer, in that position where we're one with nature. Like you don't hear no tell of Noah being concerned about any of these animals or nothing. The only thing on his mind is everybody's finna die. That's it. The last thing he's worrying about is fear. Like, but in our mind, like we've been taught to fear almost everything now. And we've been taught to demonize almost everything, to make everything pretty much a sin now without never once saying, what did the Most High say about certain things, or what is that, how are we supposed to be made or created, and what are we supposed to be embracing and not embracing? We don't question it because they do it for us. Think about the system that you're in. You start off from daycare, or elementary, you go to the middle school, high school, college, and then you get the job you need, then you retire and die. They already got your whole life planned out. Like that, or you look at it like a prison versus the hospital. They're both like mazes. It's like all this stuff is designed for you to be in this system. Like the prisons make money off prisoners in the system. Hospitals make money off getting sick. Like that. The pharmaceuticals make money off you getting prescribed medicine. So the doctor, and on the other hand, their job is to push medicine. Like their job is not to tell you to go eat apples and oranges. Their job is to say, look, I want to prescribe you to this. And you're stuck with that forever, pretty much. Unless you do something different to change it, then they're going to give you something to suppress the issue where you're not dealing with the actual, results of it versus fixing the problem inside of your body. Everything is designed to work for the system, not for you. And so this is why we have to realize if your level of understanding can't leave out of that and think deeper, then it's like, like I like to relax, have fun, do things, but I also like to be plugged in when it's time to be plugged in. I like to be able to unplug at the drop of a dime and snap into the reality of what's really going on. Kind of like when you see the Matrix, when they show you how the world really looks and how the world is looking to you like that. So you have to know what's going on as a whole. Go ahead, B.
4. For yet 7 days, and I will cause it to rain upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights. And every living substance that I have made will I destroy from off the face of the earth. And Noah did according to all that Yahuwah commanded him. And Noah was 600 years old when the flood of waters was upon the earth. And Noah went in, and his sons and his woman and his sons' women with him into the ark because of the waters of the flood. Of clean beasts and the beasts that are not clean and fowls and of everything that creeps upon the earth, they went into El Noach, into the ark, the male and the female, as Elohim had commanded Noah. And it came to pass after 7 days that the waters of the flood were upon the earth.
Okay, so this is the thing, when you look at this, Noah stuck with the game plan. He didn't really think about, how long it's going to take for it to happen, anything like that. Like when the Most High tells you to be prepared or to make sure that you're okay in certain areas, you have to do that. Don't think because time has delayed that the thing won't come to pass. Just like Samuel and Saul, he went on and did the sacrifice because of the fact that he felt like Saul did the sacrifice because he assumed Samuel wasn't going to show up. But he's not a priest, he wasn't supposed to do no sacrifice. But he did it because he said, you delayed, I didn't know you was going to be coming. So he went on and did it anyways. Like he said, he forced himself to do it, but he didn't. He just usurped the authority of the priesthood and he was out of order like that. And that's the thing. So you have to make sure that don't let time, have, be a factor in your head, because the Most High is not dealing with time as we see time. Like that, he deal with appointed time, but he's not dealing with the fact that it's been delayed. Like if he say something, it's going to come to pass. And when it comes to pass and you're not ready, the idea that, hey, look, that was 5 years ago is not going to be a good enough answer for him because he expects you to be obedient. You don't think you have to because the world teaches you to be disobedient. So therefore he won't help you. And I hate to say it like that, but just like that. Like that, it just won't, because it's like you'll be at the mercy of him. If he tells you a direct detail, you don't do the detail, then your soul may can get saved, but your body may not. Is it? Is it? So it's like you have to get back to survival mode, like the Most High said, obedience is better than sacrifice. He don't care that he told you to prepare for something, and you went and got something else. Said, well, I saw this, I didn't want to buy this many waters. I bought some of this because I like this. But you got that, but when the time comes to start running out, you start getting scared, saying, what I'm gonna do now? I'm down 40 cases. He told you to get 100, you only got 25. Okay, now you can't get nothing. Nobody's coming. He's not sending nobody because he had already told you and you did exactly what you wanted to do because you had full details. And this is how this works. But the world teaches do as thou wilt. They have this Alice Crowder type ministry that's going on in a sense where everybody can do whatever, don't judge nobody, date who you want to, and there are no rules, no type of dignity, no type of standards or anything. They just teach you to go wild and do whatever. But when the time comes, they won't save you. They'll only minister stuff to you, but they won't be there to help you when it's time to get something to eat or trying to get some form of shelter or something. You just won't have it. It'll just be a position where, you'll just be at the mercy of the Most High. But anyway, so for the most part, we're looking at this right here to kind of push, making sure that you're prepared when the time comes when the Most High actually, brings on, he can bring on something or allow something to be brought on, either way it goes. So however it works, in this case here, it was the Most High. But then some of this stuff that we see going on now is being created by man, but he's allowing them to do it like that. So then it could be something that he can bring on. Like he hardened Pharaoh's heart to not let the people go like that. So when you look at these scriptures, it's like, no matter, even if it's certain stuff they could say was inserted or not inserted, it's still basic knowledge to be prepared for, anything that may happen down the line. And the Most High, he doesn't deal with any type of coincidences. When something needs to be confirmed, he'll repeat the process. He'll bring confirmation. So no one can tell you anything different. Like you just have to have the Most High and know that he's dealing with you, and how he speaks to you. You have to figure it out through your own relationship with him. And as you figure it out, he'll confirm the matter. Like if it's something you're confused about or you're bringing into question, he'll bring it to you, but you have to seek him. You can't just assume it's going to just fall in your lap. You have to be expecting the answer to whatever it is that you may doubt concerning the Most High, what it is that you think that may not be this or that, you bring it to his attention. If you say you believe in, bring it to his attention. Say, look, I have doubt about X, Y, Z, and could you bring me a confirmation concerning this to make this real for me, where I can really believe this? Like, I mean, it's what it is. I mean, other than that, you know, it's like you don't want to be in a position where because it's like people believe like that. A lot of people, they'll say certain stuff like, hey, look, you know, I believe in the Most High, I'm having a hard time believing this aspect of like that. But most of those people, they get on the sick bed, the first thing they do call on the Most High, because they already know he's real. Like most of them stop believing based on a loved one dying or something go their way, so they're upset about it. They kind of, you mad with somebody you don't believe. Like, I mean, that's like, you know, like how does that even work, man? It's like, you know, but it's going down to Genesis chapter 8, starting off at the first verse.
And Elohim remembered Noah and every living thing and all the cattle that was with him in the ark. And Elohim made a wind to pass over the earth, and the waters assuaged. The fountains also of the deep and the windows of heaven were stopped, and the rain from heaven was restrained.
So he remembered him. That's the thing. So the Most High didn't just throw no crap out there to know. He let him know everything he wanted to do, when things were going to happen, what he, you know, how to build it up, who to bring in there. It was total details. He didn't just do something on the fly and just say, here, Noah, you're out there by your own, on your own. He didn't do that. He gave Noah detail, and he came back to confirm with Noah. You know, he remembered Noah like that. He didn't just let him, you know, just keep floating out there forever. And so back to getting prepared again. Look at Proverbs chapter 6. We're going to kind of talk about how the ant prepares themselves and they're not lazy, you know. Go back here. You can go ahead.
Right. Proverbs 6, verse 6. Go to the ant, you sluggard, consider her ways and be wise, which having no guide, overseer, or ruler, provides her meat in the summer and gathers her food in the harvest.
Now you see that when the ant, they keep saying her, because the ant, you know, is dealing with a situation of I think this word is it nurturing? Like that, I think it's nurturing, is like that. So it talks about nurturing, you know, how it deals with that. In that form, it's almost like the ant is prepared, like compared to the Proverbs 31 female, in a sense, you know, the way the ant is being brought out. Go ahead.
Did I just read 9? 9. I think I read 9, but it's 10. Okay. How long will you sleep, O sluggard? When will you rise out of your sleep? Yet a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to sleep. So shall your poverty come as one that travels, and your wants as an armed man.
Yeah, and so pretty much like, so poverty, I mean, so laziness brings on poverty, like that. So when you lazy, it brings on poverty. Like if you're not a go-getter, you have no type of spunk or anything behind you and nothing like that, you just kind of just one of those people that's kind of passively going on through life. Just, you know, it's just not going to be, the Most High is not going to tolerate that. And like at some point, you're going to wind up not having something. Like he don't have to do anything. You're going to do it to yourself. Now, I say tolerate because you're going to come to him. He's going to give you everything that you had. Like the one that had the talent and buried it. Like, no, I didn't say buried it. The other people multiplied there. They figured a way they can make more. Like he didn't say buried. Like we've been, you know, the Most High doesn't deal with a lot of this stuff, this type of what we see on these movies and stuff, where they do this hoarding type mentality in a sense that doesn't have any fruit to it. I mean, like that, you have to make sure that you're doing things that are wise. Like that, you have to make sure you're doing things that's going to be productive when you start dealing with the Most High, you know, dealing with how he wants you to operate. So like say, you know, when you're dealing with certain things, you have to realize that, you know, when you have certain visions or dreams or anything the Most High give you, if you're concerned about whether it's him or not, pray about it and he'll bring it back around. Or you'll see some other stuff, or somebody may come and tell you. You have to know how to deal with the rim of the ruach. You have to know how to utilize all the elements around you to a degree where when things happen, you know why they're happening. You have to be in the knowing, in a sense. It's like you have to realize that you are a spiritual being. You know what I'm saying? You know, just having a human experience. And if you don't realize that, see, the world wants you to think you're just a human being having a spiritual experience every now and then, but that's not us. This is a shell that we're in right now. Our soul, our gates, we're inside of this shell. It is us. We're restricted because we can't maneuver and move because we're restricted by gravity and by the rules of this earth and stuff. But when you're out of this shell, you can travel. And that's the thing. That's why that which is mortal must put on immortality. When the time comes, that body that you have on won't be this body, it'll be a spiritual body. But this body is subject to the earth and its rule. That body is not, because the earth, as you know, it won't be. It'll be a new earth. It'll be a new Shamayin. That's a whole nother subject. But just talking in general, just make sure that you are prepared and you do know how to deal with things, when they come, and how to actually make sure that you're able to survive. We got what? Proverbs.
21:20.
Okay.
Right. Proverbs 21:20. There is treasure to be desired in oil in the dwelling of the wise, but a foolish man spends it up.
See ya? So it said a foolish man spends it up. So it's like you went there, like if you got $100 and you keep spending $99.50 of all of it, over it, pretty much, every time you get it, it vanishes. You ain't doing nothing. It's like we gotta figure out, like, in this system, you gotta know how to maneuver and operate. So it's like, you have to know what is the Most High telling you, how is he telling you to maneuver so you can multiply what you need to multiply without taking risks, knowing that it's him saying do it, knowing that it's something he got you involved in. Like, he's big on having business. We always had business and stuff like that. As a people, we were always rulers. We were always set up to have stuff. We wasn't set up where we were depending on anything around us. We were the ones that had it because we were a nation. Now that we're not a nation anymore for us per se, and as one in unity, we are a nation by bloodline, but we're not a nation the way we move and operate, because everybody had this individualism, this individual type mindset where they're not thinking about how to move as groups. They're moving alone and halfway moving in that aspect. So if everybody's subject to move in the area where it's only them and one or two folks, they're not moving in big numbers anymore. And because of that, we're subject to being defeated. It's true. The saying is, united we stand, divided we fall. So if you move in an individual way, then you have to survive in an individual way. Like, you can't call on people to help you survive if you wasn't dealing with them, before anything went down. Like, it doesn't work like that. They're not gonna they're gonna be reluctant to want to deal with you because they're gonna be thinking, well, who are you? They don't know you have to actually deal with people that you're gonna be dealing with, and you have to get outside the box. He keep dealing with me with this, just try to reach out and connect, fellowship with one that I'm telling you to do it with through the Ruach, because you're gonna have to, it's not gonna be enough with just a few people that you deal with on a regular basis, because I'm telling you to do this. It's a reason. When the Most High is telling you, it's a mandate. It's like you have to realize it's not about the next person saying, well, oh, this will work, that way. You're not listening to them. It's nothing about being cocky. You have to do what he told you to do, because if you don't, he's going to hold you accountable. If the Most High is telling you to reach out and come outside of your comfort zone, outside of your box, you have to, because it's easy just to deal with those that you only know in general like that. The Most High is trying to introduce you and open up more doors, to certain individuals that, for you, through certain individuals that you don't even know, but you won't step out and explore because you click-minded. You can't be click-minded. You can't be gang-minded. You have to be mindful of the things that the Most High is telling you to do. Because if you have that click mentality, you won't reach out and step outside the box, and you only want to deal with the one or two people you only deal with all the time, then that's all you're going to have to help you. And I'm saying this because it's like, of course, we can have somebody double back around and say, well, two can chase 1,000. No, we're not talking about that. We're talking about being real logical about what the Most High is telling you to do. We know one can chase 1,000, two can put 10,000 to flight, but that's not the mandate he's giving you on your heart. If he's telling you to do something in particular and you're not doing it because you don't want to step out of your comfort zone, then that won't help you at that time, because the Most High, will be disappointed at the fact that you didn't step out at the command of him. And so you have to make sure that you're doing what he wants you to do, not what seems to be right in the eyes of man or in your own eyes. You have to make sure that you're doing certain things. That's why he kind of put me on a mission here to start getting out, fellowship and hearing that with certain ones that he's telling me to, not just anybody. It's like, you'll know it. Like, the Most High will tell you. Like, I know some people move how they move, but when you're moving through the route, he'll let you know who he's trying to connect you with and who he's not. There won't be any question at hand when you get that. You'll know that you're welcome. Like, you'll sense the hospitality. You won't sense resistance. This is one way how you'll know that he sent you there. You'll be welcome, because he'll have it on their heart already to receive you, because he told you to go there. So you have to make sure that you're doing these things too. You can keep moving to, what is it, Matthew
26 and 14.
All right, yeah.
Matthew 26:41. Watch and pray that ye enter not into temptation. The Ruach indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak.
Okay, so it's letting you have to watch as well as pray. And these things you have to do as a whole, because once again, that's the same thing. You have to make sure that you don't enter into any type of temptation, and also, be mindful and watchful as a whole. Once again, we talked about security. We talked about after you've done all this prep and you've done everything you need to do, how are you going to protect yourself? Like, what are you going to have? Are you armed with any type of mace or any type of, stun gun? Or do you have a firearm? Like, what do you have? Like, do you have what you need to actually defend yourself? Do you have any self-defense skills? Are you too out of shape to the point you can't fight somebody off? So if you are, you have to make sure until you get in shape, you have items that you can use, defense items. Whether it be a gun, stun gun, or something that you can use to defeat them until you're able to defeat them physically if it gets to that point. And so we're gonna go to I have down here. So Genesis, okay. 41. You can go to the next one, you have it ready.
All right. Genesis 41, beginning at verse 28.
You can just go.
All right. This is the thing which I have spoken unto Pharaoh. What Elohim is about to do, he shows unto Pharaoh. Behold, there come 7 years of great plenty throughout all the land of Mitzrayim, and there shall arise after them 7 years of famine. And all the plenty shall be forgotten in the land of Mitzrayim, and the famine shall consume the land. And the plenty shall not be known in the land by the reason of the famine following, for it shall be very grievous. And for that the dream was doubled unto Pharaoh twice. It is become the thing is established by Elohim. And Elohim will shortly bring it to pass. Now therefore let Pharaoh look out a man discreet and wise, and set him over the land of Mitzrayim. Let Pharaoh do this, and let him appoint officers over the land, and take up the 5th part of the land of Mitzrayim. Let Pharaoh do this, and let him appoint officers over the land, and take up the 5th part of the land of Mitzrayim in the 7 plenteous years. And let them gather all the food of those good years that come, and lay up grain upon the hand of Pharaoh, and let them guard food in the cities. And that food shall be for the store to the land against the 7 years of famine, which shall be in the land of Mitzrayim, that the land perish not through the famine.
Okay, so this is pretty much just being prepared. But the thing that I want to look at, if you listen to the reading, talks about that it was confirmed, that he had the dream twice. And we were just talking about that. So he had the dream twice. Like the Most High, when he's trying to establish something, he will double down on it. Like, it don't have to be, we're not dealing with whether Pharaoh is righteous or unrighteous. We're dealing with all this was done for a reason, because we know all this ends up with Joseph meeting his brothers that pretty much sold him. You know what I mean? So just look at this. If you know the strip, you'll know why we're not really going over some of the fine details, but just the basic of this is we know that the end goal was Joseph wound up seeing his dad and brothers doing this because they didn't have no food. So the point I'm making is that the Most High used Pharaoh to actually bring about a situation that was going to come to pass, which brings us in that land, and we wind up being in Goshen in the end. But through this process right here, we see that the whole thing is that you have to save up when times are plenty. So when things start getting bad, that you'll already be prepared. You don't have to wait, and start trying to scrape and scramble and all that. You need to make sure that you've already got it set up already, because the famine was so grievous that people didn't even remember when they had stuff. It was so bad. It was like, it made it where it seemed like it was like that all the time. Once it gets to a point when things run out, it's over. Like when you look at it and the shelves are empty and the trucks can't run, everything, the stores are bare, you have nothing. Those stores are just hubs. They're coming, import, export is what it is. And if they don't have it, then it's not there and you don't have it. So you have to make sure you have some way to sustain on your own, something that you put up or something that you can survive from the land. And if you survive from the land, you need to be able to preserve some of that stuff, have some system set up that you can utilize. You have fuse set up, that runs out, you need some type of solar system set up. You need to be some kind of way that you can function without being stopped. And then you need to know how to protect that to some degree, which brings you to having to band together to some degree like that. Because you can't, technically you can't protect anything on your own, just to keep it logical. I mean, like that. I mean, you can to some degree, but at some point you'll be overpowered without the super. I mean, don't get me wrong, it had to be something that the Most High told you to go do personally. And for a fact you're supposed to be doing this alone with no help, period, that's different. But for the most part, there's going to have to be some people that you're connected with at some degree when things start getting to that point, because you have looters that'll arrive and stuff like that. They'll arrive and stuff, people that are coming to just, just take, because they don't have it. They'll run out, they didn't prepare. So now they're running around trying to find things they can just take. People just, when they get hungry and things get wild, you think about the system is shut down, there's no lights, you have pretty much road locked where bumper to bumper, the road is locked up, you can't get nowhere, and people are roaming around, can't nobody get to you. The police can't get there because he can't get through the traffic, the ambulance, nobody can get to you. So now it's prime time for these thieves and everything, the road and stuff, to come out and start taking stuff. So once again, you have to make sure that whatever you have, realize that to some degree, nothing is yours if you can't protect it. You need to know how to protect it. You need to make sure you're connected with the Most High and that you've done the things. You can't be just connected through prayer. Like he's giving you some stuff that you need to do. That's why I talk about people that that are hungry, that show up and that you're in their presence, you know them, and the Most High giving you some food and they don't have any. You praying for them is not the answer. You are the physical answer. Give them that food, that bread and water and meat they need then, and then the answer is been already. That's the prayer right there. That's the prayer, is not you praying, saying go and be warm and everything will work out. We're gonna pray for you. If they physically need it right then you need to exercise the gift of hospitality right then. You need to give them what they need then. And that's how that works. So it's the same scenario. I mean, you have to think about this, whatever you can't protect, it's not yours. But where we at now? We
41 and 53.
So let's look at Genesis 41, 53 through 57.
And the 7 years of plenteousness was in the land of Mizraim were ended. And the 7 years of famine began to come, according as Joseph had said. And the famine was in all lands. But in all the land of Mizraim, there was bread. And when all the land of Mizraim was famished, the people cried to Pharaoh for bread. And Pharaoh said unto all of the Mizraim, go into Joseph, what he says to you do. And the famine was all over the face of the earth. And Joseph opened all the storehouses and sold unto the Mizraim. And the famine waxed sore in the land of Mizraim. And all the countries came into Mizraim to Joseph to buy grain, because that the famine was so sore in all lands.
You can go read 57.
I did.
Oh, you did? Okay, you did. My bad. Anyway, when we look at this right here, you see that it wasn't just one store, it was stores. Like, so everything was set up where it was just at the Most High's command, everything was done. Like, at Pharaoh's command, we had Joseph with the authority to do what he needed to do. He was the one that was over everything. And so he kept setting everything up. So we know that somewhere down the line, he runs into his brothers, he runs into, his dad, at some point, because of the fact that they don't have any food. Because remember, say the famine was over the land. So this is the thing, you want to make sure you prepare and to make sure that you're able to survive, in the midst of some drought or some famine or some type of scenario that pops up. Don't get so engulfed and caught up into the world and to the system where you're unplugged from, reality. You need to know that everything that we do to entertain ourselves is not reality. It's not reality to walk in the store and get a loaf of bread. I mean, it's not reality. I mean, it's just, it's just a luxury. I mean, it's not reality. So we need to think about, once again, how it was when you see in the movie Matrix, when you see the world as you see it now and how the world really looks. And that's what you need to think your mind at all times. Be ready to unplug from this fantasy world that we're in. I'm talking about the Babylon, this whole system. It's a fantasy world, because when it stops, what happens when everything stops, when everything goes and it's like there's nothing you can do, freeze, it's over. What happens? Day to day, what are you thinking? Are you dreading, how am I going to make it? Or are you thinking, okay, I can make it this long? You need to at least have a number in your head of knowing that you set up where you can make it X amount of days. Like, I mean, and to be honest, a couple of months really ain't good enough. You kind of need to make sure you can be prepared for good. But, anybody that's doing temporary preparation, I would say 6 months to a year. But you really need to make sure that you got into a point where you can self-sustain, where you can actually be, sustained from whatever produce that's coming from your land. But at the same time, once again, you the only one with some, nobody got nothing. You don't have no protection, no army or nothing with you, which would consist of so many people or more. I mean, I would consider a small group of people, at least having about at least a good 10 heads or something around that can actually around the clock protect something, to some degree. And then with the power of Yah, he's seen you tried and you did that. That's when I see the power of Yah moving on what you had on your little bit. But if it's just you stubborn, you never really try to reach out or nothing, then why is he gonna multiply your effort? You know what I mean? When it's like he keep telling you to do stuff, to reach out to people and to try to do this and get this, and now you still praying and asking him, but the answer came a long time ago. He told you stop spending every dime and start putting something up, to prepare, for when times come. But that's stupid to most people, so they wind up being stuck and find themselves on some kind of cheese line or some water line at the end and can't get anything. So with that being said, we'll end it. Father, y'all thank you right now for the word that went forth. I thank you right now for just giving us a mind to be able to follow you, to be able to serve you, and to be able to walk upright before you. I thank you right now for watching us as we depart. In the name of Saint Yahushua Mashiach, we pray. So be it.
So good.